Coach, obviously another tough loss yesterday. Are there any changes coming with play calling, coaching staff? Any of the operations going to change going forward next week?
No, we got a really good group here. We got a really good group of guys, and we've been in two tough games from back-to-back weeks, and versus two really good football teams that we were highly competitive. There's a lot of things we want to get better. Obviously, Zeno, as you know, particularly third down when it comes to offense, moving the ball on third downs. But we got some things that we did get better as far as our red zone offense and being able to get down there and getting our run game going yesterday. Defensively, obviously, we want to do a better job of stopping the run. Knew that would be a tough challenge with these guys and who we had, and but we got to get to the ball and tackle, James, with some population and not allow some of the big plays that we gave up. But it did a lot of production out of the sacks again, and some of the guys rushing the passer, and really we had a nice day on third down on defense. Those are the things that's really well for us. And then on special teams, obviously we got to go out and play better than we played yesterday. We can't allow people to return the ball on us and get short fields that way. Had a couple penalties earlier, which you kind of feel like you got lucky with, that they were able to call them back, whether they were penalties or not. You can't let them break out. And then the ones they did get out there towards the end of the game, and and all the areas that they were able to get out and get some return yards, whether it be punt returns or kickoffs, and like those things we got to do better. And then if we can find a way to win that game, we can go out there and coach those things, be really positive. We were so close. From the 3rd and 20, he was able to scramble, make it a 4th and 2, to the 4th and 2, playing that thing correctly, and just barely not making that play. We had a lot happier flight, and been really pleased with the production of the trip and the things that was able to go on. So
Real quick,
long answer for a bunch of nothing for you, Zeno, but no.
Real quick, as far as calling the timeout before that final field goal, why, for a guy who's missed 2, why give him a chance to settle himself instead of just making him go field goal rush and try to put it through?
So I thought it was going to be a gimme, Zeno. I thought he was going to make that like he did. So I wanted to give us more time to be able to go out there. And if we got the ball and had the 2 timeouts and be able to complete that ball to Mooney, we make one more completion and we're kicking a long one to try to win it and walk off. And I thought that was a smarter deal there because he was so close where they were and all the things of that nature. So we kind of went that route. We could have let him rush out there and go to try to kick it and try to make it and make it under pressure, but it felt like a gimme for him. It felt like something that was going to be pretty easy for him. We felt like we can get some more time for our offense to go out there. And if we get that big completion to Mooney that we dropped, and we can get another one, we might be having a different conversation right now.
Thanks, Coach.
Raheem, with regards to some of the game strategy stuff, why receive in overtime yesterday?
That's part of our strategy to get the ball. You get the ball, you're going to have to get it back. They're going to kind of know what they need to go to win it, but you also know what you need to do on defense to go out there and get a stop. You also have a chance to get that 3rd possession, and then after that, man, it gets scarce for running out of time and going into, potentially the tie situation. So, for us, that's kind of which direction we chose to go, Joe, and that's something that we've talked about ad nauseum a little bit, and that's kind of where we wanted to go with it.
With regards to the third down problems that you've had offensively, is there anything that you see that stands out to you when you watch the tape as to why the problems have been ongoing?
Yeah, first of all, we got to get shorter third downs. We had a couple more long third downs yesterday. And then the other thing about it is we got to execute better. Our first third down of the game, we get sacked for a sack fumble. We got to execute what Mike's saying, what he's telling us to do. We got to get those things done from a communication standpoint, from whether it be Mike, whether it be us listening, whatever the cases may be, that we can get those things done because it was clear look, something that we worked on, something that we practiced, something we got to execute. So we got to execute better across the board. We got to execute better from Mike, really, to be absolutely honest with you, like across the board. Mike's got to play better. He wants to play better. He's always going to be one of those guys that's very hard on himself. But he is a young man. He is a first-year quarterback in his first year, and we got to play better for him and around him.
Okay, Rob, we all know stats can be misleading. So with Mike's completion lack thereof percentage yesterday, how much of that was on him, and how much of that was when you looked at the film, other guys just not doing what they needed to do?
So you never really want to blame anybody when it comes down to that. Mike is going to be so hard and critical on himself that it's always going to be his fault, no matter what and where they were. But we got some things that we can clean up around him, right? Whether it be drops, whether it be in the right spot, or whether it be just getting the stuff that you got to get across the board from Mike. But he will go out there and execute those things. That's why you love him so much. Those are things that let you know he's so accountable. He's so resilient. He's such in that way, and he's going to hold it high in himself. Like I called him, recently and just talked to him about, there's 2 guys that get all the blame in this business and they get all the credit as well when it goes well. And it's myself and you. And I said, hey, man, we got to be resilient. We got to be there for each other. We'll be accountable. We'll do all the things together, but we got to play better for you around you as well. And we trust and believe in you that you're going to be able to go out there and do those things. So when you say he's playing well, that means he's developing and he's doing the right things and he's knowing what he's want to do. And we just got to get executed better for him.
Will?
Yeah, along those lines, specifically when facing pressure and how do you feel about the alert packages, the hot routes, kind of Mike's command of that, where the offense is with all of that?
I feel really great with Mike's command. We got to get everybody on the same page. Everybody has to be the same way. We just talked about that first third down of the game, where his command is great. His check is great, and we got to get it and execute it. And then we got to see how that can play out after that. But all of those things have to be on us. They got to be on us as coaches. It's got to be on us as players. It's got to be on us as the quarterback, the head coach, all of us. So we take all those things, not lightly. Those are things that we have to go out there and be able to execute every single week. And the last 2 weeks, it'd be hard to talk about the command of it all, with the percentage that we had on third down. But, we start off early in the season. It was really good. And we've kind of fallen off in the last couple of weeks, at a historic fashion.
Mark?
Mike's pocket presence. I mean, is it fair to grade it at this point? And for a guy who's athletic and mobile, it feels like there are opportunities for him to use that to his advantage, and it doesn't happen. And we get throws that are off time and off target more often than not. How are we evaluating this? And are you encouraging him to try to use his mobility more?
Yeah, yes, we are actually, Mark. That's a great observation. And what we've done with him is tell him to be able to use his legs like he did, a week before prior with the big long scramble versus the Patriots. That's something that you love to happen. Yesterday he used it a little bit when he got out the pocket and hit Drake on the scramble. When the play broke down, he's kind of scrambled to his left. Drake did a nice job of shadowing and following him. We did another big scramble when he was able to hit Bijan along the sideline. You like to see those things happen more, and they could happen more often because he is so athletic and he has that in his body. Sometimes you get out the pocket if you go the wrong way. And you not shouldn't say the wrong way. If you go away where there's not people to scramble for you, it's not going to look as good because he's a thrower first, and he's always going to look down the field to throw as opposed to just taking off using his legs at all times. And we can get better at all those things, and that's something that he can get better at as well. And I don't know if it's necessarily pocket presence because he's very comfortable in the pocket. He loves being in the pocket. He loves going through the whole dynamic of his progressions. I just think it's sometimes, man, he can use his athleticism at times that he can really exploit people.
Dan?
Raheem, there have been 2 instances in your coaching career where you've seen a 3-6 team make it to the playoffs, both with the Rams and Washington when they were still the Redskins. Can you look back on those days and use lessons from that time period and portray them to this team now?
I don't like to, Taryn, to be honest, because every team has its own individual tastes. And what you like to do is get better every single day. I don't think when we're at the Rams or when we're at Washington, I don't think we ever came out and said, hey, we're going to make this run and let it happen, right? It just kind of happened just by getting better and better every day. And the only way you can do that is go out and practice, preparation, play better, own your faults, own the things you want to do better, do all those different things and go out there and get those things done. So I think it's one step at a time, it's one day at a time. And I think it's got to start on Wednesday.
Does that experience at least help you mentally be like, all right, we're still in this?
Yeah, I think, Taryn, for me personally, I think the whole National Football League allows you to be that way. Since we've been in it, we've seen these type of things happen all the time. We've seen players, coaches, teams, find a way and get it done. And that's what we want to go watch and hope we can have happen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Taryn.
Raheem, at the end of the first half, Caden got the sack and you decided not to call timeout and then they threw the interception. What was your thinking there, not calling timeout?
They were in scoring position. They were in scoring position, Ken. They were on the 50-yard line somewhere right around that point. We got the sack. They had shown already that they scored in two plays in a couple different possessions. So we were not thinking about that. We got the interception. We got the Taunton penalty, got knocked back. We would have had a little bit of time with a timeout there, been able to use it. Was not interested in using that time frame on what it looked like for us and our clock and our management. That wasn't a deal. They were too close. If we'd have had them back a little bit further, they were, in plus territory at that point. That wasn't something I wanted to use at that moment.
Unrelated, there was Michael had a throw into the end zone to Kyle. Blitz was picked up nicely to the left side. Could Kyle have made a better effort on that ball that hit off the cornerback's head?
I hate to say effort. I love to say those are the plays you got to make for your quarterback every once in a while if you're Kyle, because he's capable of making it. You like a better throw from Mike. Obviously, you get the ball out there, do all those different things, let him catch it in stride. But, you say that every single week. Just last week we threw a double move to Drake and it was up in the air, kind of gave him an effort ball to go up in the air, and Drake comes down with it and lands on top of the defender and gets up as a huge play. You like to see something like that happen just to make a better play for you, a better op for you. So yes, Ken, you like to see some of those plays really come out in your favor because we're capable of doing it. And especially those two, when you're talking about Kyle and you're talking about Mike, one of those two guys are capable of making that play better.
Thank you.
Mark,
Break down to 3rd and 21 for me. From what I saw, they ran like all go routes straight down the field and took all the coverage deep. I don't think it was Daniel Jones' intention to take off and run, but was there anything you could have done better? Do you wish you had rushed more? I mean, just, hindsight being 2020, how do you see it?
Yeah, it's hard to say it. It's 3rd down and 20. We actually had the drop on, like you mentioned. We covered it up all down the grass. We get one small mistake by a contained player on the edge that Daniel was able to bounce outside. You get that thing turned back in, we possibly get him tackled. You're talking now 4th and 10. A much favorable position for us, or whatever the case may be. And it came down to the 4th and 2. They ran the exact same play as the Patriots ran the week before. I mean, we played almost perfectly, other than knocking the ball down or picking it off. But it was a tough draw. Tough draw.
One more with you real quick. I get after the game, it's hard to not always find words, but the last couple of weeks you said we've got to find a way, and obviously you're not finding a way. Do you want to alter that message to the fans about, the losses that we're taking over the last couple of weeks?
Mark, you got to find a way to make those plays. You just mentioned 2 of them right there, right? You make that 3rd and 20 play, whether it's a 4-man rush and somebody makes a play in the backfield and 3rd down and 20, or you get them tackled and you make the play on 4th and longer, or you make that play in 4th and 2, or you find a way to catch that ball before you go to overtime and potentially set yourself up for a field goal. You got to find a way to make those plays, and those plays got to come from us. So it's not that we got to find a way. We got to make the plays that present themselves and give us an opportunity to win the football game. And I think that's the most important message for our guys.
Yeah, but it's tough because you're not finding a way. It looks like, at least the results are that losses, we're not finding the way, and that's sort of the angst.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but you got to find it, right? You can't say all of a sudden that somebody's going to find a different way. Somebody's got to make a play, and we got plenty of guys that are capable of making it, whether you're talking about offensive guys and Drakes, the Kyle Pitts, the Bijan Robinsons, so you're talking about on defense. Yesterday, just a quick version of it, and Billy and our young guys rushing the passes have shown that they can beat a person and rush and get a sack at some critical moments, and those are things that happen. That's how you want it to happen for yourself.
Joe.
Wish I had a smarter way to say this, but what's going on with Darnell Mooney? It just feels like the targets that go to him look particularly ugly, I guess, in relation to the way that some of the other passes work to some of the other receivers. Is that the kind of coherence that he has with Mike, having missed so much of preseason, injury related? Anything that you can put your eye on?
You hate to make any excuses for any of it because nobody cares, right? It's more important that they are not having a great connection right now. The connection with Drake has been outstanding, particularly over the last couple of weeks. And you wanted to look closer to that with Mooney. Whether it's a really good throw on a drop or whether it's a bad throw and a miss op. You got to make those things that come together. Kind of what Zeno just alluded to is how do you get that stuff to happen? And the only way to do it is to practice and to go out there and do it together. And you got to have that time to do it. And they'll be out there doing those things. And that's all the growing pains that we're going through right now. We got to have all those things happen for us the right way. We want Mooney to go out there and be our deep threat. We want Mooney to be able to go out there and get balls in his hands, get some receptions, be able to catch and run, do some of the things he did for us in a special way last year. And we got to get those things going.
Ken.
It looked like D'Angelo had a significant ankle injury. Is there anything you can say about his status?
Yeah, he'll be out, Ken. I don't have the exact on what it is because I didn't have my medical meeting yet with the guys, but I do know he'll be out. He'll miss some significant time. I don't know exactly how much. This is not like the coach speak right now. I haven't talked to those guys yet.
And then one other thing.
Zeno gets mad at me when I give him coach speak, and I'm not trying to give him coach speak.
First thoughts about Carolina, what you've seen so far. It's been obviously several weeks since you last saw them.
Yeah, very early. Obviously just started the process with these guys and looking at some of the stuff they're doing on defense when I was willing with Zach and how they're playing the run and doing some different things in their fronts differently. Some of the stuff that we did out in LA. And then obviously on offense, they got, Rico and their run game really going. They've done a nice job in that area. That's really kind of carried them and been their identity since about week 5 or so. They've done such a nice job of doing some of those things. So it's very early in the process. Don't want to talk too much about Carolina, but we got to go upstairs and start it. Obviously the coach is already going at it. And as soon as I get finished talking with you guys, I can go do that.
Thank you.